thoughts on the reality war. This is going to be an interesting video. It's a little bit later that I'm getting this out than I would have intended, primarily because I was working all day yesterday. When the episode came out, it didn't have the 8 AM drop on iPlayer, so I was not able to watch this live or watch it in the cinema or anything like that. And so it was about 11:30, 11:45 when I sat down to watch this last night. And then it ended. And I normally, if I watch an episode, if I've been working and I watch an episode when I get back, I'll then kind of record my thoughts sort of immediately afterwards. But I didn't want to do that last night. And this is why I say it's going to be a bit of an interesting video, because I try on this channel to be positive. You know, I try to be very positive about the show and the way I talk about the show. And if I can't be positive, I try to be diplomatic. But I have never come away from an episode feeling so, to be honest, quite angry, quite bitter, quite miserable about the show and about the future of the show, and not only about that, but also just because, the elephant in the room is Billie Piper, right? Who may or may not be the next Doctor. That's not been confirmed yet. Who knows what's going on there? And I don't, aside from the fact that I think that's a terrible idea, that was kind of just the final straw for me after an hour of an episode that I already thought was pretty rubbish. And it's interesting because I think collectively we all kind of agree that last year's finale, Empire of Death, was a big mess, and it didn't really come together well at all, and it didn't conclude the series arc well or anything like that. And we all went, and when this series started, and it started really well, and we went, well, for me, I was like, maybe the finale will be a bit of a mess again, but at least it won't be as bad as last year. But I recall my initial reaction to Empire of Death was largely not necessarily positive, like glowing praise, but I think I didn't really care for it, but I thought that it was I thought it was fine. This angered me. This felt like, and I don't mean to sound hyperbolic or over dramatic, but this felt a bit like a betrayal. I had been enjoying this series quite a lot. But this was really, so, I have, and this is what I mean, I have so much to say about this episode, but also at the same time, kind of nothing to say at all. There is so much that I feel is wrong with this. There is not a single creative decision here that I agree with. Not a single one. The Rani was wasted. Omega was pointless and stupid, and they just did the same thing they did with Sutekh, where they took an old baddie that was a bloke in a costume, in a robe and a helmet, and that had a powerful presence and a good character, turned him into a big CGI monster, and then they got fired at with a laser and defeated. It's the same thing that happened last year, but even worse this time. And he just eats the Rani, and then Mrs. Flood just leaves the story the Time Hotel is back, because I mean, it was nice to see that character again, because she was a good character from Joy to the World. She was probably the best element of that episode. But why has she just got a magic door that she can open anywhere? That's not really how the Time Hotel works, is it? Is it? Who knows? And it's literally called a magic door in the text and by Russell as well. All the stuff with the wishes, rubbish. Why we gave Conrad a happy ending, I don't know. He was, again, totally wasted. Belinda is locked in a cupboard with a baby for half the episode. Her character started off so well and was completely botched by this finale. Completely botched. Why it all revolved around this baby, I have no idea. I don't understand. Why did Jodie Whittaker show up? I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved seeing her. I absolutely loved seeing her. I thought it was great seeing them together. But what was the point of her being there? There wasn't one. Why was Susan not in this? Why was she in it 2 episodes ago? And why was she saying, "Come and find me"? And then he doesn't do that. Why was Rogue in the TV if he wasn't going to show up again? There's no resolution there. A lot of people are speculating that this was not originally the plan. That this was going to be, a series finale, but it was not going to be Ncuti's last episode. And I think that is probably not far from the truth. There's lots of little things, and I don't care to get into speculation, but there's lots of things that would suggest that it was not the initial intention for Ncuti to only do 2 series, and then leave. So, it's very weird what's going. It seems like the series has not been picked up by Disney, and they expected that it might have done already. Ncuti wants to go off and do other things, and so they've kind of panicked. They wanted to do a surprise at the end, and so Billie Piper, who maybe isn't even the Doctor anyway, but if she isn't, then what is the point? What are we doing? And this is what annoys me. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing any of this? Why is your finale making these choices? Why make such a big deal out of Omega if he isn't going to matter in any way? What is the point? Why are we let's stop wasting our time. It really, it just annoyed me, and I tried to be positive. Like I say, I try to be positive, and if I can't be positive, I try to be diplomatic. But I really just think this was, as far as I'm concerned, and again, this sounds hyperbolic and dramatic, I think this was a mistake of television. And I feel so bad for Ncuti Gatwa, who deserves so much better. And I hope he has a wonderful career after this. And I feel so bad for Farida Sethu, who deserves so much better. And I hope she has a wonderful career beyond this. And I feel bad for Minnie Gibson, etc., etc. Like, what, I am so. The episode finished, and I was really angry initially, really annoyed, really like, what the hell is any of this? Why are we doing this? And then I just became miserable. I was just sad. And I've is, and I've said before, this era of the show isn't really for me, and that's fine. I said that all the way back in the Church on Ruby Road. I said I think that maybe this era isn't going to be for me, and that's okay. And that's always been the case, that there will be people who enjoy this era of the show much more than me. But this series had so much promise. It started off really well. And it's, I don't know where the show goes from here. I don't know what the point is. I think, and I'm not the only one to say this, and I understand that, you know, everyone has their own kind of echo chambers and their own bubbles of things, but it seems like there's a lot of people who are saying that Russell needs to go. This creative team needs to not be in charge anymore, because we are stewing in the past. There is no other reason you would get Billie Piper than for the sake of nostalgia and for the sake of, you know, trying to cling on to the relic of the show's past glories. But the show's best days do not have to be behind it. But they are. This is bad. This is bad, and it sullies a series that I was having a lot of fun with. Way more so than last year's finale, which did the same, but I cared much less for that series week to week as I did with this series, which I thought was much better. I kind of don't really want to say too much else, because I have pretty much nothing positive to say at all, and I don't like being negative. I really don't. So we'll see. We will see. I was intending on doing a full rewatch of the RTD2 era when the series finished. I don't know that I will. I don't know that I want to now. Maybe I will. Maybe. You know, I considered doing a sort of a ranking, all the episodes, and I would still like to do that, but I will have to kind of force myself to watch the episodes again. And as I say, I don't particularly want to, but we'll see. I do want to do that. What I'm going to do, which I can do without having to watch the episodes, I want to do a ranking of all of Shooty's costumes, because he's had a lot, and I think some are better than others, so that could be a fun little thing to do. And you'll still get some videos and stuff from me here. I want to keep talking about the show a little bit. We've got Big Finish stuff coming up, which I'm excited about. We've got the 13th Doctor Adventures, we've got the 9th Doctor and Rose. I'm excited about both of those series. Obviously you've got Fugitive Doctor, Spy Master stuff. And there is also, of course, the war between the land and the sea. I don't really have any thoughts on the trailer, other than I don't really care for the design, but I understand why they've made that call, because you want to see Gugu Mbatha-Raw's performance in the same way that they did it with the Silurians back in 2010, and we all just got used to that design, and that's what the Silurians look like now. So it'll be just a kind of an offshoot species of sea devils or whatever. It could be really good. It could be a mess. Who knows? It's a real coin flip. It was a short trailer. I don't really have any thoughts on that. But yeah, maybe I'll do some more sort of discussion videos, or I don't know. I want to keep talking about the show, but I don't know if anyone saw, if you follow the YouTuber Davis, who makes Doctor Who videos, the Broke Cannon guy, a couple of weeks ago, when the Interstellar Song Contest came out, they made a video, and I felt that it was a bit of an overreaction at the time, and I also felt that it slightly misrepresented what happened in the episode. Although, you know, that was something I didn't really comment on because I didn't really have the kind of frame of reference for it in terms of Israel, Gaza, and the genocide and all of this stuff, and Eurovision's involvement in that, and how that then relates to what they do in Interstellar Song Contest with the villain and all this, and there's a discussion there. But they made this video and they were like, I'm done, I'm not watching the show anymore. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, in a very blunt, mean way, get a grip. And I'm now here, 2 weeks later, and I'm not far off that. This might be my least favourite episode of Doctor Who ever made. And, you know, maybe it isn't. But I've never had this visceral of a reaction to an episode before. Never. Even the ones I really don't. There are episodes I don't like. You can go and watch my episode ranking from a couple of years ago, back around the 60th, and I talked about, the episodes that I really didn't care for. In that, the ones who are at the bottom of the list, they're episodes that I really don't care for at all. But there's very, very few, and as I say, I've never kind of felt the thing that really strikes me is not kind of the immediate anger or the irritation or the like, what are you doing? Why are you making these choices? It is kind of after that just, as I say, I was miserable. And Doctor Who has never made me miserable before. And I'm so sad about that. And so I'm going to stop there because this isn't, I don't think this would be a particularly fun video for you to watch, to be honest, of me just complaining about how sad I am about an episode of TV. What did you think of The Reality War? Did you really not get on with it as much as I did? Maybe you liked it. If you did, that's fantastic. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. I really don't know. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. And yeah, if you like this video, please do like it, subscribe if you haven't. If you like Doctor Who and you like ASMR, that will encourage me to keep, because I do. I've said this before, doing this channel, doing videos here, has kept my kind of love for the show alive more than it would have been had I not been doing it the past couple of years with a version of the show on TV that I don't really care for. And especially now, I want to love the show, and I always will love the show, and I'm always going to love what's come before. And, as I continue to discover the classic series and watch more of that and stuff, there's always going to be that love there. But, yeah, it's low at the moment. But thank you, and I will see you all for the next video, whatever that may be. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.